Okay, here's your second instructional video on cross stitch. This is going to cover starting to stitch, but I did want to talk a little bit about thread first. You'll see this is, again, we're starting with DMC floss because it's a very good quality and it's very inexpensive, and it's the thread that you can get absolutely anywhere. And I wanted to make a point of the different kinds. I mean, I know DMC floss comes in linen, there's metallic, there's rayon, but the basic cotton, the one that you find at Walmart and all your craft stores, will come in solid colors like this. They have a number. So this one is 221. I'm sure if you get a chart, it might tell you what this is called, like, dark red or whatever it's called, but they're pretty much just referred to by the number. So this is just a solid cotton dark red. This is also cotton, but you'll notice it has different shading to the thread. So if I pull out a whole length, it's going to go from dark to medium to light to dark to medium to light, and there'll be a kind of a random repeat to it. This is called variegated because it is stripy. I don't know what other word to say that. Because it is, the tone varies, right, from light to dark. And this is also cotton, and it's variegated. And this piece, this whole thing that you buy is called a skein. And you find the loose end on it. On this one, it happens to be here. And again, like I said, you pull off a piece that's maybe a little bit longer than the length of your arm, and that's a really good length to start. When you look at the end, it's going to have 6 threads. It's made up of 6 threads. I would say when you're just starting, you would want to split that maybe into 2 pieces, so maybe 3 ply or possibly 2. It's really up to you. Your cross stitch needle is pretty easy to thread because it's got a very large head and it's long, so you shouldn't have any problem getting 2 or 3 ply into your needle. I always take my end of the thread and I do put it in my mouth. It's probably disgusting, but it's just what I've always done. And you kind of get the end of it a little bit wet, and then you can. I usually pull it so that it's thin and it goes into the needle much easier that way. So once you get all of whatever colors that you're going to need, I did want to talk to you a little bit about storing fabric, storing floss rather. I buy these booklets, and again, these are at the craft store. This is like a notebook cover, double punched, and it comes with these 2 large rings. You can buy these refillable bags. They are like a miniature Ziploc bag. They have double holes in them so that they go through the rings. And one side, not the other, but one side has a little white area that you can write on. You can write with a regular pen, or a Sharpie is probably better. And because these floss do not have names, they just have numbers, mine are numerically, and I got some wacky ones. These are probably old because they don't even have a number. It actually just says on it blanc. Again, these are French made. And why I have one that says B5200, who knows? These could be decades old. I have been stitching since I was probably about 10. I think I started stitching before that, but actually like buying stuff since I was 10. And I'm over 50 now, so some of this stuff could be ancient. But again, these are in numerical order. Some of them that are different kinds of floss. This is marked with an L. This is linen. You can find this at the craft store too. It just means it's a different, it gives you a whole different texture, the linen stuff. So again, these go by numbers. And as I showed you this, you can see on the side, you can kind of get an idea of what you're looking for. Sometimes the pattern will tell you, you want DMC number 612. So you're going to pull it out and you're going to look at DMC 612 and go, I don't really like that color. I think I would like that, whatever it is, so much nicer if it was done, really bright. I'm not saying that those would be possibly acceptable, but that will give you an idea. So what do you do first? You are going to pick up your Aida fabric, which again is the fabric that has holes. And I drew a little bit of this out because if I were to show you on fabric, you wouldn't be able to see it anyway. I think it's better this way, and it will give you an idea of what it is you need to do. So again, you have all these different holes that are pierced already so that you know where you're going to be stitching. And of course, it's a cross stitch. It's just an X. But what you need to make sure is that your X's always go the same way. And I work from the bottom up and then from the bottom up. So of course it's diagonal. So you're going to go this way and then this way. So your first stitching would go in this lower, let me see. As I did write it out on a second piece of paper. Maybe we should do this one first. Okay, so again, always on a diagonal because you're making the cross. So you're going to come up at 1. So your needle comes out at that hole. So up at 1, down at 2. And it comes up at 3, down at 4. So you've made your first X. Now what? Now you need to come up. It was number 3, but it's going to become the 5th hole also. So you come up at 3, up at 5 now at this point, down at 6, up at 7, down at 8. After 8 comes 9, but you're really going back to what was number 7, and you're just carrying on that stitch, up, down, and you go all the way across. Some people I know, if you're not using a variegated, and that's why I did kind of want to talk about the thread, some people like to stitch this way. In other words, they do all this way first. Okay, so let's pretend that we were stitching. I'm coming up here and down here. Up at this point, down at this point. Up at this point, down at this point. Up here, down here. So now I've made a whole row going one way. Now I've got to go back to complete the cross. So I would come up here and go here. Here, whoops, here to here, here to here. So you're just making these X's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So now you've made a whole row of cross stitches. That's a great thing to do if you are using a solid floss. You would not want to do it with variegated because variegated, the whole point is that you get some nice like shading. These stitches are going to be dark purple, then the ones you put in here are going to be medium, and these ones are going to be light. And then when you carry down here, it becomes light because you're continuing your sewing. These go light, maybe, I don't know how the thread goes, it's going back to dark, and then it goes to medium. And when you're looking at it, it's all going to be different areas of color. If you stitch one at a time, you're not going to get that same area because half the stitch is going to be dark and the other half of the stitch is going to be light. So again, I think when you're just practicing, what you're going to want to do is thread that needle, put a small knot in the back of it, and just practice. Come up here, down here, up here, down here, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and try to get into the rhythm of it, of stitching. And just try to make a row across or try to fill in. Sometimes, I think one of the first things I did was, it looked like a little quilt. I really liked it. I did 3 by 3 in one color. So make sure, do it red or whatever color you're interested in. Then your next 3 by 3 could be a different color that maybe contrasts with red, maybe green, or, pink and then purple and then lime green or whatever. And I ended up doing, I think it was 3, they were 3 by 3, and I did 3 rows of each color. And I think I stitched a little heart. I found a way to make, I just lost the point of my pencil. I found a way to make a small heart pattern in the middle out of a cross stitch. And it was kind of interesting. So, okay, that's your second lesson. I will get my daughter to film me sewing tomorrow. And then you'll be able to see it kind of in action. But there you go. Okay, goodbye.